My presentation is named Kopački Nature Parks at the Ramsar site, but I will give a broader context of the Ramsar Convention, why is it important, and on which way is it implemented in Croatia. But I will give emphasis on the Kopački Nature Park. Ramsar Convention, as it has been said, this is the year when we celebrate the 5th anniversary of the convention. It is the first intergovernmental environmental treaty, and it is the only convention that is really dealing with only one habitat, and it is a habitat of wetlands, which are really important in the context of providing so many ecosystem services in the mitigation of climate change, adaptation on climate change, and really provide a huge percentage of the all biodiversity in the world. It is the treaty that gives us the framework for the wise use of all wetlands and their resources, but it lies on the three pillars. One of them is this wise use of all wetlands. The another one is a designation of Ramsar sites that are internationally important, but before the designation, all the contracting parties, and there are 171 parties today of the Ramsar Convention and more than 2,000 of Ramsar sites on the list of international importance. We need to provide wetlands inventory, and we need to map all the wetlands, and the Ramsar Convention gives us there are so many wetlands that we are not even aware that are in the classification of wetlands, like not only interior ones like inland delta like Kopački, but there are also human-made wetlands like salt pans, like rice paddies, and also there are the one on the coast, like offshore islets. They're also they're classified as wetlands, but we designate only wetlands on the list of international importance, the ones which satisfy one of the 8 criteria. And these criteria are based on their representativeness, on their rareness, uniqueness, also the fact that they support some species of birds or other species, if they support species in the special cycle, very critical cycles of their life cycle, and it is like spawning grounds or nursery grounds and so on. And also the third pillar is international cooperation, which is very important in the Ramsar Convention framework on the transboundary wetlands, the shared wetlands and shared species. Every year we are celebrating World Wetlands Day. It is on the 2nd of February, and this year it was the theme of the World Wetlands Day. It was wetlands and water, as the water is the main feature, of course, of these habitats. And in the framework of the Ramsar Convention, there are also regional initiatives that are operating under this framework. There are 15 of them, and Croatia is a member of the only one. It is a Mediterranean Wetlands Initiative, which is established. It is the first one established in 1991, and it is gathering 27 countries from 3 regions in the Mediterranean. Croatia is also a part of the steering group of this initiative. It is funded from the contracting parties' contributions, and it is also funded from some special funds like the MAVA Foundation, and they are really very active. I mean, there are 15 of these initiatives, but the Mediterranean Wetlands Initiative is one of the most active ones. In Croatia, we ratified this convention in 1991, and we have, I could say, 3 groups of these wetlands. We have the interior ones. We have also wetlands on coast and man-made wetlands. One of them, carp fish ponds, Crna Mlaka fish ponds, are also on the list of the internationally important Ramsar sites. We made our wetland inventory, the first one in the 2006, and this inventory is something that we need to update because, of course, the data are coming new, and I mean, the main problem in the implementation of the convention is one of that we are always missing some data, and we are using some other mapping activities that are not in line with. So sometimes it's very hard to have exact data on the real extension of wetlands, and that is something that we need to provide every 3 years to Ramsar Convention. We are reporting, we are providing national reports every 3 years for the conference of the contracting parties, and until now we used this data from this project from 2006, but now we ask the Institute for Environment and Nature Protection to provide us data which are really different from those ones that we had from this project, but that is the problem, that we don't have data that are really comparable. So in the future we are working on it to update this, and it is not about the loss actually of the wetlands, but the problem is in this data that we're collecting on different ways. And in the future, the plan for Croatia is to update this wetland inventory. And as I said, when we have the inventory, we choose those suitable wetlands for inscription on the Ramsar list. And there are 5 sites that we designated until now. On the beginning of when we ratified the convention, we listed 4 sites, and 1 we listed in the 2013. So I mentioned already Crna Mlaka fish ponds. It is the one, and it is besides that is the human-made wetlands. It is also specific because it is in the private ownership, because we have so many fish ponds in Croatia, but the other ones are not in the private. It is in the ownership of the Republic of Croatia, and this one is really specific. And we really have the problem because I didn't mention before. I mean, except of the designating of these sites, we need to ensure their active management. We need to preserve those sites, and it is really difficult to preserve a site which is not, which is in private ownership, and it is depending on the production, which is here is extensive production, and it is carp fish ponds. And the problem is that these owners have they have huge problems with the damages from the cormorants and other fish-eating birds. Then we have Lonjsko polje. It has a similar ecological character in some way as Kopački reed, and provides some ecosystem services like flood control. It is specific for the Lonjsko polje, just as for the Kopački reed, that they have this feature of flood regulation. Of course, they all support high rate of the biodiversity. Neretva Delta is on the eastern Adriatic. Recently, we proclaimed some new strict reserves in the Neretva Delta Ramsar site, so this is the precondition for the active management of the site. And as I said, Ramsar Lake was proclaimed in 2013. It is specific also, it is a brackish natural lake in the coast of Croatia, and it is significant for this variety of salinity as the water level due to the intrusion of the seawater. And nature park Kopački reed. It is significant for many ways, but the most important, as I said, is this flood regulation and this I would say these are some of the criteria, and Kopački has all 8 criteria under the Ramsar Convention that they complete. So these flood dynamics are the main ones to maintain the ecological feature. Flood control, water purification, these are all ecosystem services that they provide. And they support lots of rare and threatened ecological communities. They regularly support more than 20,000 of water birds, and they are spawning areas for fish. Regularly supports more than 1% of the individual of birds in the biogeographic region for number of water birds species. And as I said, they really satisfy all 8 criteria, and it is enough only to have at least one, to have some rare feature, unique or representative feature to be on the Ramsar list of international importance. Kopački Rit, it was designated in 1991 and just after the 1992, and just after the designation, it is very soon listed on the Montreux record, because as we designate our sites, we need to report about their condition and their state. We need to preserve them to maintain their ecological character, and if there's any threat, we as administrative authority need to report on these changes of the ecological and threats on the ecological. In Japan, in the COP5, in 1993, administrative authority, because of the occupation and destruction, because of the war in Croatia, it is listed on the Montreux record. It is the list where these threatened Ramsar sites are listed. And it has been a long time since we removed this site from the Montreux list. It was in May this year, and we really needed a lot of time. But in the meantime, there was a significant, even in 2005, there was a Ramsar advisory mission. And in this mission, there was a significant improvement, and management was established in the park, because in 1993 there wasn't even a public institution, there wasn't a management in place of this site. But still, the conclusions weren't very clear in the 2005. But since then, as we hear, this site is really. Kopački as nature park, it is really recognized not just on local and regional level, it is recognized internationally, and it's established its management, and in all these years, they already, their management plan that they provide, they had, 10 years, after 10 years it expired, and now it is 70% of their activities are accomplished, and they are going in good direction with their management. So for all these reasons, after we start the process of the removal from the Montreux list, it is approved, and now we are not anymore on that list. I will just say a few words generally of the implementation of Ramsar Convention. As I said, in Croatia, it is only a framework for the wise use of wetlands, and there are no specific rules except those that I already mentioned. So we don't have special strategies for wetlands. They are all incorporated in our legislation for nature protection. It is, of course, the strategy of nature protection and action plan of the Republic of Croatia, and we have one in place until 2025. Also EU legislation, which is very in line with the Ramsar Convention. So all of this, Natura 2000 also, and the processes that are connected with Natura 2000, because all Ramsar sites in Croatia, wetlands in Croatia, because we're supposed to protect all wetlands as we are a contracting party of the Ramsar Convention, not just those which are on the Ramsar list. So some of them are protected on national level, some of them are Natura 2000 sites, and some of them are not protected, and that is really challenging when they are not protected in any kind of way. It is very hard to establish management for these sites. But the management of Ramsar sites and those ones which are system of protected areas we have a management plans that are adopting for all the protected areas in Croatia, and also now for the Natura 2000 sites also. And now we are running project which is a project of establishing a framework for management of Natura 2000 sites. And in framework of this project, there are lots of new management plans that are going to be adopted, and one of them is also the management plan for Kopački Rit, Vrana Lake, Lonjsko Polje, and also for the first time for the Crna Mlaka fish pond. We're also applying a management effectiveness tracking tool, which is a tool that we assess our management effectiveness, and that those parks, those Ramsar sites which are protected in national categories, they are using this tool. But for wetlands, there is also one more other challenge. They are special because they are really, there are so many sectors that are connected with the management of wetlands. We can avoid all these other sectors like spatial planning, management, water management, and so on. So there are other acts and there are other strategies that also involve objectives of the conservation of wetlands, and that is a climate change strategy, a water act, and also a river basin management plans. They also have some activities and measures that must be undertaken to maintain the ecological function of wetlands. I also already mentioned some of the threats and challenges, and they are not very different from those in other protected areas. But we have, of course, illegal activities, hunting, fishing, using of artificial fertilizer and pesticides, invasive species, climate change. So these are all threats and pressures that are. But also I like to say that one of the main pressure to implement Ramsar Convention in general in the sector of nature protection, we have a lack of staff. Financial resources, not that much as the lack of staff, because now we have EU funds that are available. And really the concept of wetlands is very wide and includes lots of stakeholders, so there is so many things that should be harmonized to effectively manage the Ramsar sites. We have lots of projects that are connected and are ongoing or recent or they are planned. I will just mention some of them. I said already that we proclaimed the special reserves in Neretva Delta Ramsar site. It is an initiative that it has been active since 15 years ago, but now it's finally finished, and we proclaimed the new special reserves in this Ramsar site. We also, I mentioned the problem with the fish ponds in Crna Mlaka. We made an out-of-court settlement with the owner of the fish ponds because of these damages that he has from the and he really threatened that he's going to close his production. And of course, if he closed the production, the site won't have the same feature as it has. As I said, we plan to update our existing inventory. There are some projects that we are going to use and that we are also partners on these projects. So one of the projects is MediSweat, which is, WWF is running this project, but we support this and we are really going to use the results of the project. It is about the island wetlands, small island wetlands that need to be conserved according to the resolution that is brought on under the Ramsar Convention. And they are mapping all of these islands, wet habitats larger than 0.1 hectare in the Mediterranean area, and then we are going to use this data to update our inventory. There are also some other, but I saw that we will hear more about the initiative of Live Wild Islands. It is also the project that we support, and in the future perspective we expect that we will have a first transboundary Ramsar site, and also maybe a new Ramsar initiative. There is also a Savatais project that is run with parks that are connected to the Sava River, and it is dealing with invasive species, and the Change We Care is also dealing with the climate change challenges. So this is what I prepared for today. Thank you very much.